Hi, I'm Bita from Balanced Wellness, and today we're going to be making a gluten-free oat and honey bread. These are the ingredients that are going to be in our gluten-free oat and honey bread. We have eggs, butter, which I've already melted, some honey, some water that's at the proper temperature to bloom the yeast, and this is our yeast right here. We have some pink Himalayan sea salt, organic cane sugar, potato starch, xanthan gum, brown rice flour, and oatmeal. We're going to start our recipe, and what we're going to do first is we're going to bloom the yeast in some tepid water, which is about 105 to 110 Fahrenheit. And we're going to add some honey to the yeast bloom, which is going to accelerate the process. Okay, so that's our rapid rise yeast. And then we're going to add in about 3 tablespoons of honey. And after we do this, we're going to let it sit for 10 minutes to get nice and foamy and bubbly. It's going to kind of start to smell like beer. Okay, this bread's a little on the sweet side too, which is nice. So 10 minutes from now, we are going to work with this. I'm just going to set that aside for the time being. And now we're going to work on the dry ingredients for our bread. And over here we have our KitchenAid stand mixer. So I'm going to start adding the dry ingredients for the bread into the mixer now. So this is 1 1/4 cup of oats. These are gluten-free oats. Oats do not have gluten in them, but oftentimes they are contaminated with gluten because of the cereal industry, because a lot of gluten-based grains are used in the cereal industry. This is a 1/2 cup of potato starch, not potato flour, potato starch. This is gluten-free and it's going to add nice body to the recipe. Over here we have 1 1/4 cup of brown rice flour, one of my favorite gluten-free flours to use. It's got a really nice mild flavor and a really nice texture. Next is a little bit of organic sugar. Then we're going to add 3/4 of a teaspoon of the Himalayan salt. That's to balance everything. And 2 teaspoons of xanthan gum. This is used quite often in gluten-free recipes to kind of give that bind that gluten-free flours lack. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to give this just a simple just mix very slightly. Great. So the flour is basically mixed, but we still have to wait for the yeast to bloom, and we have to add the rest of our ingredients, which would be our eggs and our butter. Our yeast is full and bloomed. As you can see, it's got some nice little fuzzy bubbles going on the top, kind of smelling like beer. Now I'm going to take the wet ingredients, which include the bloomed yeast, which has our honey, our yeast, and our tepid water, along with about 3 tablespoons of butter and 2 eggs, and I'm going to mix it together in this bowl. And it's important that all the ingredients are at the proper temperature, so if this was too hot, it would kill the yeast, or it would also scramble the eggs, which is what we do not want. So we got 2 eggs. There we go. And we're going to mix in our butter, like so. And now what we're going to do is we're going to take our wet mixture and we're going to pour it into our stand mixer. And now this will get mixed together for about 3 to 5 minutes. And remember, we're not developing any gluten because there's no gluten to develop. We're just getting the bread nice and mixed together. Our bread mixture is totally mixed together. I took the liberty of using my spatula to kind of scrape down the sides to facilitate everything mixing together. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift this up, get that last little bit off of our dough hook. Okay. There's our mixture. I have greased our pan right here. This is our loaf pan. I greased it with a little bit of butter. Olive oil would be appropriate as well. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take our batter mixture and I'm going to put it into the loaf pan. It's a great breakfast bread too. It's because it's got oats and honey and all that good stuff. And after this, we're going to let it rest for 1 hour to have it rise. Let's just smooth it out, make it all even. And it looks like it's shallow right now, but in an hour it'll get nice and puffy. Okay, great. So let's leave this kind of in a warmish place. Of course, bread takes less time to rise in the summer and more time to rise in the winter due to the temperature. So we're just going to put this in a warm place. Sometimes even on top of the stove is a good idea. And in about an hour, we're going to check this and see how it looks.